What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103, and welcome to another episode of the Blaugrana and Parisien. Yet another week, and things are getting intense. And of course, I am joined with me, my boy PSG Int. You want to say what's up to the people?
Welcome, beautiful Barca Boy family.
Lots to discuss. I think both our clubs had a pretty busy week, and so much, of course, to come ahead. We're now only 1 month left of the season. I don't know what we're going to do with this show during the summer, but we'll discuss that another time. But 1 month left of the season. Things are getting intense. I guess we could start off with PSG since they only had the one game on the weekend, right? I think you drew with Nantes midweek, was it? 1-1? Or is that the last weekend? Or am I tripping?
No, midweek. Nantes was midweek.
Yeah, so that was 1-1. I saw the Vitinha. I didn't watch the game. I saw the Vitinha goal. I know that Nantes scored in the 80th minute to get the draw.
Yeah.
You went fairly strong. They got that game too, right? In terms of the 11, I think.
Yeah, basically best 11.
Yeah, talk about that game, how it went. I know Nantes are one of the better teams, top half of the league away from home as well. Would you have taken a draw, looking back at it, or do you think that filling out your strongest team, you should have at least gotten a win?
No, we should have gotten the win. I mean, even if you look at XG, it was like a Barca versus Atletico-esque game. You remember that game you lost? I think we had 3 XG. But still, we conceded 3 goals. When you concede 3 goals that sloppily as well, you deserve to lose. So I think we performed well, made mistakes. We were not clinical. Due missed a sitter. I don't know if you saw that. I thought Barca fans would jump on that.
I think when Barca have big games, when Barcelona have big games, man, we're just locked in. We don't really care about anyone. We're just making comps of our own team, trying to hype each other up. That's what we do.
True.
And then, of course, on the weekend, it happened, man. I told you, I thought it was gonna be the Strasbourg game, but I always knew a Fugazi game was gonna happen, and whether you lost it or not, I felt like there's gonna be a game where maybe you'd go up, you'd be down 2-1, something like that. Then it'd be either you come back or you end up losing it. But it was 3-1 to Nice, and I'm not gonna lie, I did watch the second half for the hate watch. Very, very enjoyable. Sanson, my boy with the brace, but the dream is dead. I didn't watch your match reaction because I wanted to talk to you about it in the pod. But I did watch your reaction to the goals. I can see how devastated you were. I'm like, this is me back in the day, man. I mean, I know the pain, especially maybe again Nice I think was probably your second hardest game left after Strasbourg away, just because Strasbourg was away from home. So maybe not too much of a surprise. It wasn't like a Nantes or maybe like a Le Havre or whatever that may be. But what are your thoughts on the unbeaten streak now ending and basically nothing to fight for in League 1, of course? I know you were very hyped up on undefeated since January. I know you really want to do it. I think you've even talked about only an Italian team and an English team has done it, and a German team, no French or Spanish. So I know you really wanted it. So what are your thoughts, man?
It was the most devastated I've been this entire season.
Really?
In the Champions League, when we've lost and so on, I've been mad. I've been mad. But when you lose in the Champions League group stage, it's basically irrelevant as long as you go through from the group stage. Us losing to Arsenal in the group stage, us losing to Bayern, it doesn't matter now. Because why? We're into the Champions League semi-final. But the unbeaten, you gotta be perfect every single game. You cannot lose a single game, and we've lost it, which means it's over. It was something I really wanted. It would have been beautiful. It's something I've actually wanted for a while at PSG. Looking at PSG, the rest of the league, and you should have at least done it once.
That's a good point.
But one thing I looked into was, all the teams that went unbeaten in their league, they were not good in Europe that year. What that meant was it was total focus on the unbeaten streak.
Mm-hmm. That's why
I think maybe our players having the UCL semi-final, it felt like a bit the player didn't care that much about the unbeaten as us supporters did. I think they're just, let's get this UCL, let's get this treble. They want to treble more than this unbeaten.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And yeah, the same thing for even Barcelona. We were going for as well. We were out of Europe. The Rome happened, and we were like, all right, salvage the season. You win the double, you go unbeaten. That's still a very good season. We got the double, but we didn't go unbeaten. And you're right. I think even when Conte did it with Juventus, they were out quite early. Even Arsenal as well. I think they got knocked out of the round 16 by Chelsea in 0-3-0-4, something like that. So That's a very, very good point. So I guess, if you're offered the fact that, you don't go unbeaten but you win the treble, I think everyone would definitely take that. But it all comes down now mainly to execution. So we will see. But talk to me about the performance. I know that, of course, I did watch the second half, so I know how it was. But, of course, PSG were going forward, creating chances. I know Vitinha could have scored near the end. The goalkeeper who was linked to Barcelona back in January made a couple of good saves. I felt like PSG, when I was watching it, we're kind of panicking a little bit in the last 1 minute. You can tell that the Park wanted them to go and, try and at least salvage the draw. A lot of, useless crosses, I feel like, relying a lot on Cavada on the left-hand side to do something. And then the right-hand side was quite nullified with them boosts because Boost was kind of playing a bit more centrally. I felt like Nuno and Hakimi as well were a bit nonchalant. I think Vitinha was kind of the only player that I saw that was really trying, keeping things progressing and moving. Of course, Nice were playing the clock as well, wasting a lot of time, playing it smart. But do you think that, it comes down to basically being unlucky and the unbeaten run being more so in your head, or you think that it should have been done regardless? Especially being in the home game, right?
I honestly... Yeah. I think towards the game when we were maybe 2-1 down, that's when the players, even Luis Enrique, like when Luis Enrique, he subbed out Dembele minute 68, Due minute 59, Neves minute 59. What that showed me is it was always about Arsenal game. Like he was always thinking ahead of the Arsenal game. What's the best thing we can do in this game to be prepared for the Arsenal game? It showed me that, he didn't really care that much about this unbeaten streak, which hurts a bit.
Yeah. Especially since you beat the away unbeaten record the game before as well, right?
Exactly.
I felt like the Nantes game.
76% possession, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like the Nantes game was the game where you probably should have done the rotation, because again I think playing your strongest team before important game like back to back is better than playing good team, rest, and good team. That's why I was a bit surprised when he made a few changes as well.
Yeah. It was pre-planned subs for the upcoming Arsenal game. But you know what? The players will now be hungry. I'm trying to look at the positives going away from losing this unbeaten streak. Best 11 played. They will be in some good rhythm going into the Arsenal game. Arsenal obviously didn't play on the weekend. And we've seen this season, sometimes you maybe won that game.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe you want that game rhythm.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very much a fan of maybe not having the midweek game. So if I was in your position, I'd rather not have the Nantes game, but have the Nice game. That's why I was saying that, I think you should have rotated. I would have rotated personally against Nantes than against Nice. I think back-to-back rhythm is better than having the void in the middle. Unless you're like Barcelona and Madrid, you just play every other week where any rest you can take. But yeah, I guess it's just treble or bust. When's your the cup final? Is that the final weekend of May before the UCL?
Yeah, I think it's 1 week ahead of the UCL final. I think 24th of May.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Moving on, of course, to Barcelona. Midweek at Mallorca, 1-0. I mean, we won't even talk about that game because the big topic of discussion was the Copa del Rey Final last weekend. So happy that we won it. Of course, I got my score prediction. I was in your chat when you were streaming. You started your stream before mine, and you had 3-2 Madrid. I had 3-2 Barca. A lot of people had 3-2, to be fair, which I guess shows how maybe the external ball knowledge is increasing overall. But the game went exactly how I thought it would. I didn't think we'd be down. I didn't think we'd be losing 2-1 at one point. I thought maybe Madrid would bring it back to 2-2, but again, same thing. I saw you upload a match reaction. I didn't watch it because I want to get your thoughts here. I did see your reactions to the goal, even though the last one you kind of missed it, unfortunately, because everyone who was watching it on ESPN got finessed. Shout out to BS Sports. I stopped watching ESPN, man, because of the biased commentary. Even if you've seen the replay of the Koundé goal with the ESPN commentator over it, McManaman, he's just there like, wow. Great finish. Oh, poor from Modric. What's Brahim Diaz doing? Koundé though, good shot. I'm like, this is why I absolutely binned that whole entire corporation. But what are your thoughts on the Copa del Rey final? Seeing, of course, that we're both happy that Kylian Mboubi's is going to go trophyless this season.
Yeah, I still don't like the narrative. It's a bit similar to the Supercopa where and Mbappe in the World Cup final where it's like Mbappe did his thing. But his team let his down. So they're still, trying to create and defend Mbappe. But no, for me, once again, from this Barca team, the mentality, Barca boy. because you guys care more about the upcoming Inter game than this game. Madrid, it was all about this game because I don't think they have the confidence to catch you back in the league. So they treated this as, I saw Faisal talking about we don't want Barca to get the treble.
Yeah.
But I think it's also more about getting a good enough end to the season, beating Barca in a final like this.
A lot of the Madrid fans are talking about, sending off Carlo on a good note too.
That true as well.
Yeah.
And when they went 2-1 up, I had a Barca friend on the thingy watching with us. When they scored 2-1, Madrid had the momentum.
Yeah.
I was like, this 15 minutes now, I think it was 15 minutes
15,
left,
yep.
is the period to show, is Barca this team? Is Barca that team? Yamal puts the ball, Ferran, goal. And Barca proved that they were
Yamal dunking on you again. Like, it's just becoming a bit too consistent now, Bro, come on. I was saying, I got a lot of stick after the game because I said that Pedri had a stinker. And I said that Yamal was, the best player in the game after the two center backs in Inigo and Kubarsi. I thought they were both sensational. What are your thoughts on Kubarsi now? You're going to give him a bit of his flower after that performance? 120 minutes?
I've been giving Kubarsi his flowers this season. I think he was really good in that game. Obviously made the important tackle that led to the Pedri goal.
Yeah.
And was just, very, very solid. I never felt... I didn't... Like, Inigo sometimes... Mostly because he's very aggressive.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember Vinny on that left, Mbappe in the central areas as well. But Kubarsi, I felt, he was in control of whatever he could control the entire game. I felt he was probably the best centre back from both teams in this game.
I had him as my man of the match, so I definitely think he put in a great performance. I understand what you were saying about him being aggressive. There are a lot of times where you could. There's the 3 occasions where he went for the lunging tackle against Vinicius. I think against Vinicius and Mbappe, I knew he was gonna they were gonna pass it around him and run around him. It was so predictable, but I think in that kind of scenario, he kind of felt like that was the best thing to do. Like you mentioned, when Madrid went 2-1 up, I didn't think it was over because I thought there was just not enough time for Barcelona to get back in the game and plus the momentum. They were the better team for that period of time from the 50th minute until they scored that second goal. From the 25 minutes, 26 minutes, they were on top of us. I don't think we were playing poorly, but I just think that the momentum and the confidence was on their team. Ancelotti, I said this, I don't know if you agree with me or not. I think Ancelotti coached the perfect game from Madrid's standpoint for his philosophy to beat Barcelona. He went with the narrow formation, which I was worried about. He made the halftime dropped in Arda Güler and dropped Valverde to right back very early, which was one of the clear, obvious ways to get in behind that right-hand side because they didn't challenge Jordan Martin whatsoever in that first half. He did everything right from his standpoint, I feel like, and it still wasn't enough. Yeah. And of course, on top of that, the referee stuff. How do you think? I'm actually curious to know. How do you think the referee did in this game in terms of the balance favoring one side or the other? I want to kind of see your perspective from a neutral standpoint.
Yeah, no. The first thing that I was seeing was every single time there was a decision to make, he was shitting his pants because all he was thinking about was Madrid fans are gonna say, "Oh, this is why we didn't want you to referee this game." So I felt he had immense pressure on him. I think when the most pressure came was that tackle by Tchouaméni, because when you look at it, yes, Olmo after that obviously didn't get injured, thank God for him. But that's a red card. Like, he could have broken his ankle. Olmo could have been out for the rest of the season strictly because of that tackle. So,
I think that the referee, the board guy on the pitch, I thought he did okay. I thought yes, I think what I was disappointed about was that every 50-50 call was going Madrid's way. And I'm thinking they've been attacking you for the past week. They almost forfeited the game because they didn't want you on the pitch. Why can't you bless us with the 50-50s, man? Like, that's what really annoyed me. My issue was with VAR. Like you mentioned, the Tchouaméni tackle should have been a red card. Ceballos hitting Lamine. Yes, Lamine played for it, but it's still a reckless hit. The Modric one, I forget what Modric did. I think a tackle against Gabi. He went high steps.
Yeah.
That should have been a red card. And I think also the Kubarsi and the Ferran fouls were both clear penalties as well. So I had my issue with VAR. And all those 5 that we agreed now that are clear, the 2 penalties, the 3 red cards, none were checked whatsoever by VAR, which baffled me. That is what upset me the most. I think the free kick that Mbappe scored was a clear yellow for Frankie, no problem with that. Rafinha one, I initially thought it was a penalty just based on the game going with the natural flow, but replay stuff like that, I can see why they overturned it because there was no contact. I thought he caught him on the back of the foot, but he didn't. So I guess you could say Rafinha did dive. But yeah, those 5 calls for me were absolutely huge, and I could not believe that VAR didn't check it, and that just shows the point that I think you and I both have been making this season is about how much Madrid have influence in the Spanish Federation. It goes from the top to the bottom, and that despite putting on all this pressure on the referees, they still got what they wanted out of it, which was favorable decisions. And what's really, really nice to see, I think, is that a lot of Madrid fans came out saying that as well. That the referee, that's the sweet thing about Barcelona, but the referee favored them during the game. They played the best way. Some people, I saw Madrid fans saying that second half that they played was the best football they've seen this season, and most dominant Madrid have been this season. And on top of all that, they still couldn't beat us. That's
No,
the sweet
I
part.
do agree. Like, I was surprised when they started pressing you guys in that second half. I was like, I've never seen Madrid play like this. So no, that you could have survived all of that because the momentum was so strong when they went 2-1 up. 2 consecutive goals.
And that's where I get my disappointment from
We were
Flick, which
thinking about Inter.
I don't think. That's why I disagree with you when you said that Barcelona were thinking more about Inter. I think Barcelona really wanted to win both games. I think their priority was to go out there and give 2,000% in both matches and then just see what happens. But back to Flick, I was really upset with Flick during that period when Madrid were dominating. I'm thinking you have to make the change. The first change I was going to say was bring in Gavi. I don't know who you would take off in that midfield 3, whoever. But he needed to come in. And you can see it before they took the corner kick. He had Araujo and Gavi ready to come in as well. And of course they scored. Once they scored, he kept the same team out there because he wanted to keep the attacking flow still going. He had, of course, Hector Fort on the touchline as well, ready to come in. He didn't change his mind. So Flick made some weird changes and decisions in that Madrid dominance period. So I think almost could have cost us. Again, the reason why we scored the goal was individual brilliance from Lamine Yamal to find a perfect ball over the top, and also a huge Courtois mistake. And as I was feeling when Chouameni scored, I felt like the only way we're gonna score, like you mentioned a lot, is going to be a Fugazi goal, whether it be a penalty, a free kick, a call, or individual brilliance. That was the only way we were going to score, and that came from Lamine. Of course, we had the favorable Courtois error as well. I think Flick would have been at huge fault if we didn't win that game, mainly because that he could have had an impact of maybe changed things in the favor of Barcelona, and he was so unproactive that it almost did cost us. I think he managed the game overall well. Second half, of course, was quite sturdy from him, but in that moment when we were on top where you need changes, where Ancelotti was making changes to benefit his team, to keep the pressure and momentum going, Flick decided to say the same. That was where my issue came in from Flick, really. But how did you rate the first half performance? I know a lot of people said that it was just quite dead because just mainly possession from Barcelona. I think that was, not peak football from Barcelona, but that's, one of our best faces of how dominant we can be. Do you think that Barcelona were, the better team over the course of the 120 minutes?
Yeah. I think Madrid, they're momentarily team. A lot of counterattacks, having moments here and there. But I felt Barca control majority of the game. And obviously getting the goal right after they scored 2-1, getting the game back to Barcelona. And then in extra time, I don't know, majority of the extra time, I felt it was going to go to penalties, especially after watching PSG Liverpool and Real Atletico. But it was still pressing high, Koundé that high up, taking the shot, man. No.
Yeah, like I was saying this in the chat too. The only way that it doesn't go to penalties is I think whoever's extra time, especially in top games like Liverpool, PSG this season, or in this game, there's only one goal in it. Whoever gets that goal, the other team will just sit back, soak it all up. And what pissed me off, man, I almost lost my head on stream, was that we scored. I'm like, all right, defend for 3 minutes and we win. And 2 seconds later, Mbappe's through. Thankfully, he was offside. And Gavi took him out, which I think of course the decision would have been a penalty, but it was a very clean tackle, and I think maybe it could have been overturned by VAR. But the Koundé goal, I think, is, again, talk about the 3 goals that Barcelona scored. They were all 3 world-class goals. The shot from Pedri from distance to beat Courtois from that far out is crazy. The Lamine pass to Varane was sensational, and then the Koundé just scores an absolute dagger. And we get our revenge when Ronaldo did to us back in the day, but what were your thoughts on that Koundé goal? When you went in, do you think that Barcelona, everything's favoring Barcelona?
So what happened was the Barca dude, he went into a WhatsApp group and and he was like, "Oh," and we immediately understood what that meant. And then the stream cut out. And then 20 seconds, I refresh, and then I see Koundé celebrating and everything. So I was never there in the moment, unfortunately. But after seeing the goal, obviously, a mistake from someone maybe you don't expect it really from, Modric. but Kunde just takes it beautifully. A huge moment for Kunde, honestly, because Kunde, maybe you can talk about him having some needing to improve in some areas or something. But one thing Kunde has always done on the pitch, he always puts 100% effort. I know out of all the Barca players, shout out to Kunde, man. Happy for him.
Hey man, I think he is out in like 14J at right back this season, which is crazy for me for the amount of stinkers he's had. I've always rated Kunde. I think Kunde has always been. I think Kunde has been my favorite Barcelona player since he's joined. Had a bit of a down period for me in the last 2 months because he keeps showing up late for training and getting dropped. But he's just so elite defensively. Even that game, I thought he played. I think defensively in that game he was sensational. Talk about 1v1 defenders. I think he's the best in the world in terms of that, especially from the fullback position. Of course, I think Hakimi is the better fullback based on balance of play. I think he's not too bad of a defender. He's so elite going forward. But just defensively, Koundé is just an absolute rock. He had to deal with, I think, Arda Güler, Brahim, Vini, and Mbappe, and none of them got past him. The way that they were attacking us down that flank is when he was pushing up forward to help with Lamine in 1v1 situations to provide him a different outlook. Those were the only times where they got him behind, and that's where the majority of their chances came in. Another big talking point from the final was, of course, the antics of Real Madrid. And I'm seeing finally now a lot of fans of the sport are now starting to hate Real Madrid. They're kind of seeing the light now a little bit. I know, man. Well, you and I both know it, but like, it's just so embarrassing to see. Like, I don't know why Rudiger got so upset. Them screaming for referee decisions. What pissed me off the most at halftime, I don't know if you saw the clip, you probably did, when when they were coming in, Jude Bellingham was yelling at the referee saying every 50-50 was going Barcelona's way.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And I'm there thinking, like, every 50-50 has gone your way. What what are you talking about? But what are your thoughts on the Satanism from Madrid?
No, they actually, and they were really aggressive in this game. They made a lot of dirty tackles, a lot of dirty fouls.
Yep.
Like, it was a prime, Madrid back in the day versus Messi's Barca. Ramos. Rudiger is basically Black Pepe.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. Asensio, what Asensio did, that was also so Ramos-esque. That, like,
the tackle? Yeah.
It is a tackle on Rafinha. Obviously, it doesn't get in Rafinha, but just so stupid by Asensio. So reckless. Doesn't even go for the ball.
He's done that multiple times this season, and I got people telling me that Asensio's better than Kuborsi, man. This is the thing that I cannot fathom.
No, it's crazy. But no, Madrid really, it was like a Sunderland type performance here versus FC Barcelona. Counter-attack, duels, tackles, disgusting. Rudiger coming out after the game, posting a tweet. Oh, I didn't mean that. What?
Yeah. Like,
What do you mean I didn't mean that? Just take pride. Say, yeah, I was really disgusted by the referee, so I wanted to throw some ice buckets at him.
You see, even see them. What I hate the most is that we're always so respectful to them, and they're never respectful for us. Like this, they're gonna supposed to give us a guard of honor for the Clásico because of the Copa del Rey, but they probably won't do it. And we're always so classy with them. Even if you look at full time. There are moments in the when Chelsea was about to kick it long and the referee didn't call full time. Rafinha started celebrating with the fans, and Valverde told me, "No, stop. The game's not done yet." And Rafinha's like, "Yo, we've won the game. It's 5 seconds. Worry about your own self. Don't worry about me." And then of course Gavi at full time yelling in the face of Asensio. I think that puts him at legendary status now at Barcelona. I don't know if you've seen that clip or not, but it's always us that's what frustrates me the most. That we're always the one that's classy, and they're not. But I love it when they are not classy. That comes back to bite them. We've seen, like you mentioned, even the Messi days where they have the better squad, maybe bar for bar, band for band, but we have a team and a unity. And again, even I've seen some people talk about this with PSG. Talk about PSG now are good because they're a team, but back in the day when they had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, they weren't a team. They were not superstars. They weren't successful. So I think Jamie Carragher said that the mold of football is still always there. Having a team is always more important than having superstars. And we see that now with the three Galacticos eras of Madrid. Two of them have been failures. Of course, this one is still going, so we'll see. But it's always important to see that team unity always beats individual talent. You can see that Madrid, even for that period where they were dominant, they were very, very, individuality based. And Mbappe making runs, you can see when he doesn't make the right decision, they got players yelling at him. Same with Vinicius as well. A lot of people were yelling at Brahim Diaz in this game. Again, they were making poor decisions, but there's just no unity. Yeah, so.
No, I agree.
But we'll take it, man. We'll take it. I know The trouble now is only us two. I know Inter have balled it. We got Inter coming up, which we will talk about now. Let's talk about the first game, which of course is tomorrow in the Champions League. Arsenal versus Paris Saint-Germain. I know that you're shitting yourself now because your game is tomorrow. I'm still on the Copa del Rey high. That will probably die down tomorrow. But this is the moment you've been waiting for. You know, your revenge tour is still going in the Champions League. But what are your thoughts ahead of the game? Of course, PSG winless in the last 2 games. I don't want to point fingers or anything like that. I think before Nantes, they played Villa, right?
No, we had a league game versus Le Havre.
Okay, so your last 4 games, you're winless in 3.
And conceded 8 goals.
Yeah. So how you feeling?
Very confident, man. Look, it's sad that the unbeaten streak ended, but this season, the expectation, the goal was built upon what we did last year as a Champions League semi-finalist. We're here again. We know the mistakes we made last time, but no, I can't wait for this game, man. Especially with the Arsenal fans are arrogant. A lot of Arsenal fans I've seen are predicting Arsenal to beat us comfortably. I think they think that we're worse than Madrid for some reason. It's just fucking glazed our grid so much.
It's just apparently bias as well.
Surprise. Yeah, heavy Premier. Even Lucho now said everyone talks about the Premier League as the best league in the world. I don't know if I agree with that or not. Like, he is on a run to expose the Premier League. We beat Arsenal here. We've beaten the Premier League. We've beaten a league, man. We compete. It's like you compete against La Liga. We compete against the Premier League.
I will say that as, a Barca fan, which, inshallah, we do get to the Champions League final, I would rather have Arsenal. And the reason why is because you're the better team, I think. And I think that Arsenal will eventually bottle it at some point as well. And I think, a PSG Barca final would be 50-50, but a Barca Arsenal would be, 60-70% in favor of Barcelona. But on the game, of course, first game is at the Emirates, so they kind of know how to beat a big team. Not a better team, but a bigger team. Get that big win at home and then go away from home and lock it down. Anything you're particularly worried about going to this game? Would there be maybe PSG's defensive worries recently, attacking form, the first game this season maybe being in the heads, Arsenal's, strong defense, weak okay midfield, and, lackluster front line? Anything that you're keeping an eye on for that you think will be the deciding factor in this game?
The only negative worry I have is going down. Like, Arsenal is a team you don't want to give them the lead because they love to control the scoreline. If they're only up 1-0, God forbid 2-0, that is so favorable for Arsenal, because they can sit deep, they can win all the aerial duels, they can be very comfortable. So for me, the only worry I have is that we can see the stupid goal, which we've been doing a couple of times this season. And I'm looking at Marquinhos. With Hakimi pushing up, he's going to be, sometimes we're going to see Martinelli versus Marquis. And Marquis, I wish I was confident with him, but I'm not that confident with him. So that's my worry defensively. We need to have a not Anfield-esque defensive performance, because I don't think Arsenal will be as good offensively as Liverpool were, but we have to be very good defensively this game. Offensively, we'll get chances. Arsenal will press high up as well, so we get opportunities. For me, the main focus is defensively. Just don't concede a stupid goal. Nuno, I'm looking at you. Donna, please try to have another big game. And Marky, man, just don't fucking shit your pants, man, please.
So are you going into this match with the feeling that if you concede first, you're not cooked, but it's gonna be a huge uphill battle, especially conceding going down the 1-0 in the first half, conceding in the first half.
100% against a team like Arsenal, that's exactly what they want. Like a team like Arsenal, the opposite is if we score, I think Arsenal are in a very fucked up situation, because Arsenal are not a good team with the ball. They're not a good team when they have to push, when they have to get a goal. They're not nowhere as good as when they are defending. So yeah, I don't feel we're cooked if we're 1-0 down, but I wouldn't like that at all. Like, considering against Barca, if we say we play Barca and you score, I'm not that concerned, because I know that Barca is not this team that can just sit back and not give us any chance for the rest of the game. But Arsenal, they are. That's the only worry I have.
I think that Barca's defense is very, very underrated. If you look at the 2 goals we conceded against PSG, against Madrid, both set pieces, right? Where I think we do need to make a little bit of improvement on that, especially recently. But I think that Barcelona's defense is very, very underrated in Europe. I even saw when Jamie Carragher mentioned that about PSG, that they're a team now, so they're better without the superstars in the latest overlap show. Also talked about Barcelona, saying that Barcelona are really, really good going forward with the high line, the defense. I'm like, Blood. We're in April now. Like we're almost in May. You're still talking about this high line. It's been absolutely effective this season. And again, I think we have conceded super goals. Do not. I think every team, even Arsenal, PSG, and us, concede super goals, right? But I'm very, very confident in this defense. If you look at my match reviews, most of the time, I would say 85% of the time, Inigo, Kubarsi, Koundé, Balde are getting 7+ ratings from me.
No, it has nothing to do with Barca being a bad defensive team. I think Barca and PSG, even PSG, are underrated as a defensive team. Both of us are good team. It's mostly about what is Barca going to do. If Arsenal go 1-0 up, what they're going to do? Lock the shop. What is Barca going to do if they're 1-0 up? Go even more out attacking for the second goal. So that's why if Barca score against us, I wouldn't be as concerned, because I know that Barca will try to attack, and if they get a goal, they won't push for a second, as a club like Barca or PSG would do. So that's really why I'm slightly concerned going down to Arsenal, because they're just a terrorist side, man.
Speaking quickly on set pieces, of course, Arsenal are kind of known for being strong on set pieces. Someone here in the chat mentioned that PSG are cooked on set pieces versus Arsenal. Do you back your team on set pieces? Are you worried about Arsenal set pieces? Of course, we do know that they're clinical. I'm not too sure how good PSG are in terms of set pieces, but what are your thoughts on that being a concern in this game?
Yeah, we obviously conceded the set piece versus Nice, and I saw a stat. I think we've conceded like 30% of our goals from set pieces, something this season, which is absolutely disgusting. But what I've seen from this team is when we try our utmost to defend against that, we're good. We saw that versus Liverpool. I was shitting my pants for every single set piece Liverpool had, but we survived. Dona making saves, Pacho making blocks, Marky here, Hakimi there, Nuno as well with a block. So I'm still confident despite us not being weak on set pieces.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying in the chat here that Arsenal can be extremely tricky. They're tactically equipped, and that can cause issues to big teams, especially on set pieces. There's this stat that I think is one of the most remarkable stats, that Arsenal haven't lost to the top 6 teams in the Premier League in I think the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years. They've not lost any single game to the top sides. They're a team that that tend to do well against the bigger teams, but tend to do more so poorly against the weaker teams. So does that raise a concern for you?
Exactly. Yeah, no, Arsenal are a tough team to beat. So no, it will be a good thing for PSG if we beat Arsenal, but. I was very confident going into the semi-final, whether it would be Arsenal or Madrid, because of how good PSG are. So, sure, Arsenal are good, but PSG are better. So, yeah, I think that's why I'm confident.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
What about you? Are you picking an upset?
It really comes down to me that if PSG losing the unbeaten run will rattle the players, right? That's something I know that you mentioned, that based on Luis Enrique's subs, it's quite clear that he didn't care about it. But what about the players' perspective, right? We talked about Barcelona's having an elite mentality ever since the October game against Madrid and Bayern. The mentality has been through the roof, which I agree with PSG. Their mentality is still very high too, coming up against Villa and Liverpool. But whether that losing the unbeaten run affects them or not, I think that's a big question. I saw, of course, it affected Barcelona back when we lost it to Levante. So I think the first goal in this game was the deciding factor. I do think that a draw in this game is very unlikely. I do see a team winning it. I can definitely see you winning it, or Arsenal. But I think that what Arsenal want is to get that goal early, whether it be from a mistake or some individual brilliance, and they want to just sit back and hit you on the break and rely on the defense, especially at home. Whereas PSG want to think, okay, we have to go, all guns blazing, get that a first goal or two early on to maybe rattle them. I do see this game going in the favor of, I'd probably say Arsenal, but narrowly. But I still think that I still think you progress over 2 legs. But I can see them getting a 1-goal advantage win here, like a 2-1, 1-0, something like that. Then at the Parc, it'll be, of course, a different story. I know that you say that your Parc home at the Parc isn't that great, especially under Luis Enrique. But I think Parc semi-final against Arsenal. It'll be different from last season compared to Dortmund, where you were the clear favorites. We of course saw the Parc how they come up in the games this season when you face City in a do or die game, Liverpool in the first leg as well. That came down more so to the players and the actual fans. So if I were to put money, I would say Arsenal by just a 1-goal margin. But I still put the tie as like a 50-50. I'm not saying that you cannot win. I wouldn't be surprised if you win as well. I think if anyone wins by more than one goal, I would be shocked. Like a 3-1 or a 2-0 or maybe even 4-0, whatever the case may be. But just for Arsenal being at home, I know that they're gonna treat this as their biggest game, probably since the Champions League final in 2006. So I think they'll get riled up for it, but then maybe get humbled next week in the second leg. But what do you think will be the score prediction, if you have one?
I'm going with a 2-1. I am feeling a 3-1. Well, I can be a bit chill. A 2-1 would be a very good result, especially against this Arsenal side. Then going at the Parc, we know what we have to do. We basically just keep the ball away from them until they start leaving spaces, and then we attack them. So, yeah, I think a 2-1 would be a very good result. I would be happy with.
Yeah, so you're very much on the same way as me, that one goal game, tight game as well. So we'll see how things do turn out. But of course, on Wednesday it's gonna be Barcelona versus Inter. First leg is at the Montjuic. Of course, Barcelona coming off the back of winning the Copa del Rey against their eternal rivals, and Inter coming this match winless in 3 games. They've lost their last 3 games. They haven't scored in the last 3 games as well. They've lost, I think, 1-0, 1-0, and 3-0. I think this is the first time that's happened to them since like 2012. Their team is old. They're tired. They got a few knocks as well. Whereas Barcelona, I'm not saying we're fresh, but we're 2 players away from being fully fit. At home as well, where the Montjuic does come in clutch in the bigger games. What are your thoughts from a neutral standpoint? Of course, this could be your potential final opponent. You will know who will be in the final before you play your second leg as well.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be an interesting feat. Will that have maybe impact on that second leg? We'll talk about that later on. But what are your thoughts on this as a neutral standpoint?
Like who I think will go through? I think Barca will go through.
Over 2 legs? Or
sure. Yeah. Sure, obviously, look, the form in the league obviously is very irrelevant to going into the UCL, but what's happened to Inter is more than just the form. I mean, they're capitulating. They are out of the Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
I think they have lost the Serie A, because I think Napoli now, they have no Europe or anything. They only have the league now to focus on. I think Napoli will get the league, so they put themselves in a very, very, very difficult position. And I don't see them.
You think kind of their games before Barcelona antics kind of will impact this game? Because of course they were on for the treble as well. Not anymore. Not only have they lost their league position, but they also got knocked out in the Copa Italia to their eternal rivals. So we beat Madrid. Yeah. They lost to Milan. And a lot of people, I saw people saying that this game is going to be 50-50 in terms of elite defense. I watched Inter's Patio games. I'm thinking this defense isn't really that elite. Conceding 3 goals to Bayern Munich over 2 legs as well. The goals they scored were, from set pieces, quick succession. A lot of what I'm seeing is that from the Barca fans are saying that, this team, not only have they been poor in the recent games, it kind of started, a capitulation snowball, but the team is old. They're, you can see, I don't know if you watched the Roma game. I watched the second half. They are so leggy. Like, they look knackered. Because you have to remember that majority of this team, I think the stat is that 9% of this team is over the age of 30.
It's just like that Inter Mourinho side.
True, but I guess Mourinho at that time managed the league very well, and they kind of had that league wrapped up before the UCL against us. But it'll be an interesting game. Only thing that I'm really worried about is the players' fitness. I just know that for a fact playing 120 minutes, they're going to be tired. But of course, Inter played on Sunday, we played on Saturday. But then again, our game finished Saturday. If you think about it, Barcelona's game finished Sunday 1 a.m. and then Inter played Sunday 6 p.m. So the difference, I know, is 14, 16 hours, but it's still crazy to think about. But we do have maybe a tiny bit of extra rest going into this game. They have a few injury blows. Benjamin Pavard will be out for both legs. Thuram maybe will be back for the second leg. He's a bit of a doubt for the first leg. They're trying to rush him back. For Barcelona, of course, I think Baldic will make it on Wednesday. Probably will start, but probably be on the bench. I think Lewandowski will be out for both legs, but we should recover Balde by the next leg for sure as a starter, but maybe on the bench on Wednesday. I'm feeling again. I kind of felt I feel like it's kind of destiny now a little bit for Barcelona to win this treble. I'm not gonna lie. Everything, I know for PSG, the start of the season wasn't that great, and now everything's looking well. But for Barcelona, just everything this season has been falling perfectly into place. And since we knocked out Atletico in the cup, in the semifinals, I just thought I've been just thinking it's just destiny for us to do it. I think the only thing that stops us is Real Madrid in the cup final, which they didn't. So of course I'm gonna have confidence in this game. I really do hope we don't batter Inter. I really want to go into that second leg super cautious. Not like Dortmund. I would love like a nice 2-goal margin win, so you have a bit of a cushion. But no, I really don't want to batter. I mean, I say that now, but I will of course celebrate with joy. But I really wouldn't want to batter them like 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. I love like a nice 2-0, 3-0 win. Have an advantage going to the San Siro because again, second leg away from home. They're gonna change the home rule now for next season. That whoever finishes higher will get the home second leg. Which they should have done this season. It was, I don't know why they didn't do it, because I thought that was the case until the actual when I was watching the draw. But what are your predictions for the first leg at the Montjuic?
Yeah, 3-1. I think Barca will nearly kill off the tie. So as you mentioned, you get a good victory, so you go comfortable to the San Siro, but not good enough where you can become arrogant and feel like the game is over.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way Inter Milan can go through is Barca.
Yep.
You guys need to shoot yourself in the foot for.
You're spot on. I said this in my I made a video reacting, kind of like aftermath reaction to the Copa del Rey Final, and I said that, like I've been saying, I think the only team that can stop Barcelona from doing a trouble is Real Madrid, and the only team that can stop Real Madrid from doing a trouble is Barcelona. Why? Simply on just rivalry, not based on team quality and stuff like that. And I said the only way now we capitulate is our own doing. Fatigue, injuries, mistakes on the pitch. I don't think there's a team in the world, apart from Real Madrid, again, simply based on rivalry, that can beat us 90 minutes of pure football. Like, of course, your team is fantastic. I think you probably be our toughest opponents, but I still back Barcelona. You're, of course, probably back Body. But, like you mentioned, I completely agree. I think the only way Barcelona now messes up is because of themselves. I'm not too scared about Inter in this game. I think the only way they can beat us is if they get a goal in that first half and then just lock it down, taking advantage to the San Siro. I can't see them, bar for bar, band for band, beating us over the course of 90 minutes. I'm really just worried here, like here Marlon Brown says in the chat here, just about fatigue. Again, there's been no. I don't think we haven't trained after the Copa del Rey Final. We had Sunday, Monday off. We're gonna have our first training after the Copa on Tuesday, so we'll see if there's any knocks or stuff. The media has kind of been quite quiet in Barcelona. They kind of think celebrating the cup too. No one's talked about any injuries or stuff like that. No one went off injured in the game, but you don't know what's happening internally based on fatigue. But that is, I think, the key worry right now. The fact that the game high intensity went to 190 minutes. Of course, you're celebrating as well. Yeah. That's going to take a lot of heat of it. You're seeing even Balde and Lewandowski jumping in the stand, celebrating while they're injured. That's my only worry, to be honest. But I would say, as a score prediction, if I was to put money on it, I'd probably, like I said, with the Arsenal PSG, I'd probably say 2-1. I do think I'm kind of confident we don't concede, especially if Marcus Thuram doesn't start. But I feel like with this team being leggy and tired, they might make a mistake at the back or something. But I still think we can win the game. But what would you say as a score prediction for this first leg?
Barca Inter.
Yeah.
It's 3-1.
3-1 Barca?
I was going to ask you, how would you feel if, like, you struggle clinicality-wise, they're clinical from the small chances they have, and it ends in a draw? How confident would you be with this Barca team going to that San Siro?
I'd still be confident. If we draw this game, I'd still be confident. I think this team has shown a lot of resilience away from home this season. Winning at the Bernabeu, winning 2 times back-to-back at the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium, winning 2 times away at Benfica as well, winning once in Dortmund, losing one, winning both neutral games in Saudi and in Sevilla against Madrid. So I'm confident in this team away from home. And again, I think the big positive side that I think I talked about in the last pod on your channel was that this Inter-Barca teams, they're very similar to what we played in 2022, right? There's little to no changes between the two teams. And I think that, the team there had the experience of going to the San Siro, playing well, narrowly losing 1-0 from Çalhanoğlu, 40-yard banger against Ter Stegen, right? It was just a goal out of absolutely nowhere. So I backed them at the San Siro, especially, which I think is a positive, is that if we do draw this game, Weidl on the weekend, hopefully Flick just rotates the whole team. Full 11, rotate it. I know we're still in the league title race, but it's Weidl. They're the worst team in the league. They're rock bottom. I know it's away from home, but I think our B team should have enough quality to beat them in 90 minutes. But that's kind of my big positive. I think if we do win this game, maybe Flick will say, okay, we can maybe rotate a little bit on the weekend. But I really want to rotate full 11. Yeah. Against Weidl. So to answer your question, yes, I still back the team. I think the only way where I would be very nervous, maybe a bit pessimistic, is if we lose this game, whether we lose by a goal or 2, because defensively into the San Siro, they're a tough opponent to beat. I know they conceded 3-0 to Milan, but that's a derby, it's a cup, so you have to go for it. You're going to be a bit more open. But you can even see their losses this season have all been by a one-goal margin. They really concede. So I do back Barcelona's attack, but against a team that's going to be coming up to set up to defend from the beginning, that's where I think my worries come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
So we will see. Anything else you want to add before we end the show? I think we covered everything. And we'll see tomorrow what's going to happen. I'll definitely be in your chat tomorrow. I don't know who I'm going to be supporting. I want Arsenal because they're the easier team, but I kind of have, favor both sides. Arsenal lose, I get to laugh at Arsenal fans. If PSG lose, I get to laugh at you, obviously. But I'm very much, it's kind of like the Liverpool PSG game. I'm very much like win-win either way.
Look, if you want to win the Champions League, you want to beat the toughest team. That's why I don't want Inter to Fugazi versus Barca. I want to face. I hope Leva is fit. I hope Balde is fit. Yamal with blue hair as well in that Champions League final or something. I want that full narrative. If we lose, it will hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It will hurt a lot. But honestly, this Barca side, it's not like if you lose to them, they're a good side. They're good. But it's a Champions League final, so it would still be very embarrassing. But obviously, if we win, it would mean so much.
Yeah.
But now, give me. When I watch Barca Inter, obviously, I would not be supporting. I don't really care what happens, but if I had to choose, I want to play Barca in the final.
To be fair, I'll give you your flowers. You've been saying Barca PSG final since the group stages, even before we've seen the brackets, you've been calling it. So I'll give you props for that. I mean, again, for me, I think both finals are difficult. I just think against Arsenal's easier. We've done it before in the past. I think they're the weaker team. Of course, they're not really a team that's equipped to win the Champions League. They're kind of there based on a bit of luck, especially beating Madrid, and then we'll see how it goes against you. But I just think PSG again the storyline as well. Dembele and what happened last season as well. That's kind of when Rafinha begun his arc to becoming a jugador. Luis Enrique against Barcelona as well, where he won the Champions League treble for us. It's gonna be a final for the treble probably as well. Ooh. Yeah, man, give me Arsenal. give me Arsenal. That'd be nice too. That if Arsenal, let's say for example, Arsenal beat you, then it's only us that can win the treble. Stylistically what?
Yeah. True. But we think like stylistically. Like PSG would be more Barca.
Yeah, probably.
Like you would have insane counterattacks. Like Yamal would have 1v1 coverage.
Yeah.
Rafinha would be opening in acres of space.
From the Champions League finals that I've seen in the past, has always been Barcelona being the huge favorites. I think a PSG would definitely make it like 50-50. But I'd rather go up against a team that's going to be, sitting back and inviting pressure and maybe and hitting us on the break than having a 50-50 game. Like, remember, let's say, for example, we have a Champions League final, us two, 4-3 Barcelona win. You know how insane that final would be? The goals back and forth, the emotions to the roof. I'd rather have, like, an Arsenal, if they beat us, they'll beat us, like, 1-0 from a counterattack or something like that. So, I'm just thinking, like, all the details. But I think the most important thing is not to have a final for the treble, man. That would be crazy. I've already gone through that. Don't want to go through it again. So that's why I gave me Arsenal. Like, Barcelona win. They win the treble. If Arsenal win, it's our first Champions League ever. That would be the narrative.
Wait, how many? So this year you can win the quadruple. No, not the sextuple, right?
I mean, I guess we haven't seen what will happen second half of the season. But there is 2. Yeah, we have 4, then plus 2. So yeah, we can win the sextuple. So this would be also we do go to the if we do get to the final, we'd be the first team ever to do a quadruple. I think you're on for the no, you only played for 3 trophies, right? No, you're gonna be on the quadruple too because you won that Coupe de whatever back in January, right? So yeah,
yeah, in January.
So not only will the Champions League be for the treble, be for the first ever quadruple. Nah, man, give me Arsenal. Up the Gunners. keep me away from that. That just makes it even worse. That just makes it. I can nah. Give me Arsenal. Arsenal have to do me a favor.
Final. I have a feeling it's gonna be a bit similar to that World Cup final where. One moment it's Barca, then it's PSG having momentum.
Exactly.
This game because it's gonna be high up. None of us gonna be like, yeah, let's sip it. could be like a 5-goal thriller or something. Extra
Yeah,
time.
like I said, 4-3. I feel like that'd be like a 4-3 game, like either team winning 4-3. Like, what's that? Like a 7-goal game, back and forth, crazy moments, and like decided by a fine margin. So give me Arsenal, man. Give me Arsenal. give me Arsenal. I cannot bear that. Oh my god, that's probably like second worst case scenario to like a Clasico Champions League final. Going to the final with the two best teams in Europe, it being 50-50, both playing very attacking football, defensive lines, a different structure, but still the same idea of going for it and outscoring your opponent more so than playing a balanced game. So that would be an entertaining final for the making, and probably the most intense Champions League final since 2015 when we played in Juventus. Because Juventus at a time where I would compare Juventus at that time to like. Maybe not to PSG too much, but I think they have a lot of similar qualities. They of course went fully attacking. Of course with the Italian kind of style, they had one eye on the defense. They weren't free flowing in the attack, but still a very very strong team at that time. So we'll see. That's it. The Champions Finals are discussed for another day. We both have opponents in front of us to face, so we'll see what happens this week in the first legs. But hoping for the Gunners to do me a solid tomorrow, man. Need them to do. Give me another 3-0. Give me a duck and rice, more free kicks. That's what I need. But anything else you want to mention before we end off the pod today? I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. No, just very excited for both of the upcoming Champions League games. Also, maybe the cheeky Europa League game as well. Atletico Bilbao United on Thursday.
Yeah,
so,
I think Tottenham are definitely in the final. They have a Bodo Glimt. That should be easy for them. And Bilbao.
Man, Bodo Glimt. I mean, there's a reason they've knocked out Lazio.
I mean, I've seen this story too many times where there's like that low-key team that knocks out 2 or 3 teams and they lose when they have the big occasion. Like look at Morocco in the World Cup, Costa Rica in the World Cup. Who was that team? What was that team that like Fugazi? Maybe like for example like a Dortmund where they beat Atletico then lost easily in the final. Like we've always kind of seen that story, so I think Tottenham will have it quite comfortable. But it is the history of Tottenham to ball it, so I wouldn't be surprised. But Bilbao United will be interesting. United are probably the best team probably going into the Europa League, but Bilbao are the huge favorites only because the finals in their stadium, so they kind of had the huge mission from the beginning of the season to win it. It'll be an interesting game. I do probably have Bilbao over two legs, but I low-key kind of want United to win, just to dunk on Nico Williams a little bit. But I know a lot of Barca fans want Bilbao to win because, just to prop up Spanish football and stuff like that. Which I guess it's a win-win. If Bilbao win, that'll be an interesting Super Cup. If of course we win the Champions League, it'll be your Super Cup will be Barcelona Bilbao. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a high intense game. Much rather have United, but maybe United will be looking better after a preseason under Ruben Amorim. But how do you see the two legs, or 2 games, should I say?
I think since this Europa League was made, it's been clear Bilbao is gonna win it.
Yeah,
it's nearly a rigged game there. Nico's staying, and Nico's actually started performing really well in 2025 as well for them, especially in the Europa League. So, no, I think you can't discount that much. I think they're gonna win it. And United
really need this Europa League. They need money and they need Champions League football for summer transfer window. So they probably need it more than. Yeah, they probably need it more than Bilbao, but Bilbao just want to win it. I think they want to win it because, of course, they're a big team. They love to win a European trophy, the finals in their stadium as well, which is the main feat.
Wait, if Bilbao win it, then the 5th place in La Liga goes to the UCL, right? Or is it Sociedad?
No, so the 5th place in La Liga already goes to UCL, so it'll actually be 6th place that gets a Champions League spot.
Yeah, so you have 6 teams in the UCL. Wait, how many Italian teams were in the Champions League this season? Because I remember they had that extra spot last year.
Yeah, I think, who was it?
Inter, Atalanta,
Milan,
Juventus, 4, Bologna 5. They have 5 teams.
Yeah, so you have 6. And then, of course, even the Conference League, we have Betis in the semi-final. They're probably going to have Chelsea in the final, but Chelsea were the big favorites, of course, from the beginning, so Chelsea will probably cook them. Yeah. But you know what? We have 3 Spanish teams in all the European semifinals, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, but
All right, I guess we'll end the show here, guys. Hope everyone enjoyed it. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, subscribe as well if you haven't done so already. Of course, want to give a big shout out to the under-19 team who not only won the Youth Champions League today, but also won their treble. They won the under-19s La Liga, under-19s Copa del Rey. Hopefully, the women's team and the men's team can follow up. But that youth final was a very, very good game. 4-1 win. The one goal they scored, Strasbourg, was like a consolation goal. I remember back in the day watching the last youth team that won the Champions League. It had like Ricky Puch in it, Oscar Mingueza, Adel Ruiz. I forget other players that were in that team. It was like a really, really good team at that time. I think PSG have gone to a final only once. I don't think they've won one. But yeah, shout out to them. Great game, great performance, and hopefully the other Barca institutions can follow suit. Not only do the men's team can win a quadruple, we can have all three teams win trebles in the season. So hopefully,
A treble.
a treble, yeah. Barca Athletic are kind of dead, so we don't really worry about them. I don't think they can win a treble anyway. They only have one trophy that they fight for. So yeah, hopefully we can achieve the unthinkable this season. But thank you everyone for joining. Drop a like down below if you did enjoy, and we'll see you guys next week on Inch channel. Of course, his link is down below. We'll be there for the first leg review, then the second leg preview. Then we'll be on this channel for when we know next time we'll be on this channel with the pod. We'll know what the Champions League final will be, which is crazy to think about. And that'll also be post La Liga Clasico. So that show you gotta tune in for. That's gonna be a bombshell of a show. But we'll see you guys then.